Hello, on this video I want to show you how to create a template class on C++. I'm starting the program with the hello world here, and usually when we create a class, a regular class, we have two files, the header file and the implementation. So to do that, you're going to add class add, and then you have here your header file and your CPP file. For template classes, you cannot have a CPP and a header file. Everything has to be in the same file. I know some people may be able to do that, but that's a rig, a glue. That's not real two files. So because of that, we're going to create one file only. We're going to create a single header file. So right click, add, new item, and I'm going to choose a header file. For the name, I'm going to name my template class. Add, empty class, and now we can start adding the things for a class. Class public. Now let's add a constructor and a destructor. And so far, this is very similar to a regular class. In order for us to make this into a template class, we're going to add the word template right here before the class, in between angle brackets, class T. So let's create a class that receives to something, and the something we don't know yet, because the something will be defined whenever you create an object out of this class. So it's going to return something, a type. We don't know what the type is, hence I'm going to put a T. The name of my class is going to be get biggest, and we do not know what the class is going to receive. It's a template class, so it's going to be some type A, and the A is the name of the variable it's going to receive, and then type, and then B. So let's review this function again. So it's going to return something. We don't know what it is yet. The name of this function is called getBiggest. It's going to receive two parameters A and B. We do not know what those are yet, hence we're going to put T and T. Now let's implement this function here. So remember, when you're working with template classes, there can only be one file. So therefore we're going to implement this function in the header file. So I'm going to copy this template class T, and it's going to return something which is T. It belongs to the my template class, and here you need to put a T again. I do not understand why you need to put this. You just have to. It seems very silly, so just do it. And the name of the function is getBiggest. And getBiggest receives two parameters, if you guys remember. I'm just going to copy here. And then if A is larger than B, return A, else return B. So that's it for this class here. I'm going to zoom out this entire class so you can see. Now let's go to the main class. On the main class, we need to first include the header. And now we can instantiate a object of that class. I'm gonna delete the hello world. And here is where we're gonna tell which data type we're gonna be working in the template class. So for this example, I want to be an integer. So now the my template class, every time there's a t, it's going to be replaced with an integer. So every time there's a t, it replaces the t with an integer. And if that's the case, then this function here will receive integer a, integer b, and it will return also an integer. So if it's going to return an integer, I'm going to declare an integer. Get biggest. And now here's the interesting part. If you look right here on the help, on this help menu here, you're going to see that the get biggest, even though the implementation says t get biggest, ta, and tb, the help here says integer get biggest, integer a, and integer b, because that class, this object now, is working only with integers. So let's pass an integer 10 and 20, and now let's just print out the largest. So let's run the program. Uh-oh, looks like I have an error. And the error says return. Oh, okay. Looks like there's some misspelling. Yes, return. There it is. Let's run again. There it is. So runs and prints 20. Because 20 is the largest between 10 and 20. And if I change this to 100, now it gives me the 100. Now let's create one of these guys here, but instead of having integer, let's have a float. So my template class float, my template class, I'm gonna put an F just to differentiate, and then float largest float equals mtcf dot get biggest. And now if you remember, whenever we're doing the same thing here on line 12, we got integer and integer, and now we get float, float, and float. So let's give it a float. So it's going to be 10.2 comma now we have 20.5 because 20.5 is larger than 10.2. But if you put 1000.2, now it gets me the 1000.2. So the whole advantage of a I forgot to put the F here. So the whole advantage of the template class is that if you design the class in a way that can be used by multiple data type, then you're gonna save a lot of code, you're gonna save a lot of time. It is a lot more complex than regular classes. In my opinion, template class has its usage, it has its place, but I feel like it is not the most important thing to learn in C++, but it is good to know. So again, use it, but don't go too crazy on this.